Hello, and welcome to the Random Game Review. I'm Kat, your host, and tonight, for the first episode of Season 2, I'll be talking with you about the Oculus Rift running with the TpCast VR wireless adapter using the Opentpcast 2.0 firmware patch or update or hack and software that allows me better tracking, better overall video, and the use of my microphone, as you can tell. Now, I purchased the TpCast hardware for the Oculus Rift about, I'd say, 26 days ago. And since then, I've put out 4 videos on it, and have found that while it was adequate and it did everything that I knew it would do without using the microphone, because I knew that did not work, it really has been implemented poorly. And unfortunately, as a first go-around consumer of the product, I'm the one that has to figure that all out. I would recommend waiting till Gen 2 comes out of the wireless adapters, and we've seen those with the just recent 2018 CES over in, I believe it is, California. The reason why I say that, this first gen, it works well, but if it has to be tweaked by an outside source to get it to work properly, really, you just need to wait. Now, I'm going to hold my breath here, but when I did this firmware update, they give you the option, of taking the SD card, the micro SD card that's in the actual hardware of the TpCast, the battery pack, and flashing it with a new firmware. This allows you to use Virtual Hub to make your connection from the TpCast transmitter to the router, transmitter and router to your receiver on your head, which is an overall better connection and enables you to use your microphone. The one thing they do say, what I recommend, is after they say to tell you to flash the SD card or back up the original firmware to your computer, I would recommend getting a second SD card, an 8GB Class 10 card. They're pretty inexpensive, and the reason why is that you will, hopefully, TpCast will make an update to the software package that they came with. I'm not going to hold my breath for it, but I'd like to see that happen, and that's why I opted just to get a second SD card to do all my testing on with the Opentpcast. I've also back tested it as well, putting the original card back in and reinstalling the TpCast original software, and it works perfectly fine. So it is reversible if you don't get what you want out of it. But to tell you the truth, it literally is, I would say, 100% improvement. Now, a few things with the original software that I had to do. First, you don't get as much play area as you think you might. Again, you are wireless, so that's nice to be tether-free, but you still lose some movement. And the reason is, whenever you turn around, you get massive pixelation. And if you walk too far away from the transmitter, you get pixelation as well. Not only that, you would lose your hands a couple of times, which I've lost, and they just go flying off. Now with this Opentpcast 2.0 software and firmware, I can just go ahead, turn around, I can walk up to my green screen here, and I have no issues at all. Nothing at all. There may be every once in a while my hand popping out, but that's because I'm coming up to my grid location. And again, that would be typical for anybody that has, the grid. You don't want to walk outside of there. You will lose and gain occlusion and lose tracking. Again, with the original software that came with the TpCast, I lost that immediately when I got close to it, and it was bad. I lost it real bad. With this, the new software, night and day. You don't lose it. Nothing's wrong with it. I am using a Amazon Basic 15-foot HDMI with Ethernet cable. It is a CL3, and I'm actually going to hopefully be putting the picture up here for you. Again, I have no issues with that. I tried it with the original cable and with this cable with several different setups. You can actually go further. I did have an extension cable, which was a 6-foot, and then I had my other 10-foot. So, what was it? Yeah, no, it was a 6-foot and a 12-foot cable. So actually, I went almost 20 feet with it, and no issues there either. So you can go further. I would say I haven't retested it since I put on the OpenTPCast software, but a 15-foot cable is pretty long, and if you can get away with that, I think that's the way you should go, knowing that most people's computers are not right next to where they're playing. Mine, especially, sitting in the corner. The only other thing I would recommend, or stress to you, if you are going to get this TpCast hardware, is that your system has to be tweaked. And I'm running an i7 7700K, overclocked to 5 gigahertz. I delidded the top. I'm using liquid metal on it to keep it cool. I've got a 1080 gigabit graphics card, and I've got 16 gigs of RAM running at 3000 megahertz. And with that hardware, every once in a while, my system, while it's thinking, I do get issues. Now, with the OpenTPCast 2 software, I've eliminated that 99%. There really is. The only time I'm getting the issues now is during loading and booting. Initially, when I tested out the first software that came with the TpCast, their software, I was getting it at the same time of just loading and booting. But unfortunately, as time went on, I started noticing it more and more. And it wasn't that I was running more things in the background. I was losing immersion because there was, every few seconds, either I lost my hands or I had some graphical issues. And when I read my Windows logs, Windows in the background is doing something, or, some other software is updating and running its little test thing. So it is very system sensitive. Now, I have disabled multiple stuff on my computer. I've installed Windows at least 6 times since my last video and done multiple drivers with my network cards. I've done older drivers, newer drivers, just to see if I can tweak it in any way. And honestly, just with me disabling the system and disabling certain services on my system, and running my reg edit and setting my computer up for gaming, that's where I've come up with the best situation. And even with that all being done, I was still getting just getting issues with the original software, and that's why I ended up taking the time to go ahead and install and download the OpenTPCast 2.0 firmware and software. And really now, like I said, it's almost night and day, and the issues are pretty much gone. Again, with any sort of wireless, whenever you're doing any sort of VR and you get occlusion, you are going to get a little bit issues. But there's nothing now that I can complain about at all. Everything now that does occur, I pretty much can just chalk it up to me either running around or jumping or doing something silly like falling over. But with that all being said, I would recommend waiting on it if I was to do it again. With all that, I think I'm going to hold off on doing any more TpCast videos and just jump back into doing my game reviews. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this final offering of information about me using my TpCast. Now I'm using it with the OpenTPCast 2.0 firmware and software update, and have noticed a massive increase in quality and performance. If you guys like it, feel free to leave a like, comment below, ask me any questions. I'll be more than happy to answer them. And keep on gaming. Until next time, I'm out of here.